Hey, welcome back to the show. Hey, performers, how are you doing? Welcome back to Creatively Performing Arts. I am so excited to talk to you today. Today's episode, I am sharing some lessons learned, slash, just like having a little chat with you. And I'm going to talk about some things that I learned from my first official acting gig. I'm so excited. I'm going to talk about like imposter syndrome, fear. Oh, girl. We're going to get into all the tea. We're going to get into all of that good stuff. And hopefully, this will inspire you wherever you are in your creative journey, but especially if you are in the process of just getting started. Like, I definitely know how that feels. I have really been jumping into being a performer throughout this year. But I went through that process of like overcoming the fears of even getting started. So I know how I feel, and I'm happy to share. happy slash sorry to share that fear doesn't necessarily go away per se, but it just is different when you actually do get started and when you're in it. So I'm happy to share that so that hopefully, though, it will inspire you that yes, you're still going to experience those, mental blocks and stuff, but because you have taken the steps to get started, you already have that in your toolbox. You already have that ability to push past it. And I'm going to talk about that. And God willing, I hope you feel encouraged by the end of this. And yeah, we can just enjoy a little chat. So let's get into it. Hey performer, welcome to the Creatively Performing Arts podcast. Are you ready to get back to your creative passion for singing and performing again? Do you find yourself Googling, is it too late to start dancing or songs for auditions? Do you wake up with big creative goals only to think if only I kept training or I'll never be good enough? Hi, I'm Estelle, beginner singing coach, performing artist, 20-something musical theater lover, and Christ-centered creative. I also grew up performing, and after college, I felt called to start intentionally using these gifts again, but I thought it was too late to get training and it was selfish to make time for the arts. But then I realized the solution is to just get started. In this podcast, you're going to find beginner singing and performing tips, inspiration from amazing performing artists, and help to overcome fear and imposter syndrome so that you can finally start singing, acting, and dancing again. So pause your Broadway playlist, take a vocal rest, and submit that last audition self-tape, honey, because the show is starting and you're the star of it. Let's begin. Hey, welcome back to the show. Today's episode, like I said earlier, I'm going to be digging into some lessons I've learned from the show that I was just in. It was so much fun, and I can't wait to share what I've learned. So, grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab your hot beverage. I have my cinnamon dolce latte right here. So I'm ready to go. But first, I realized that I don't know if I explained completely like the transition that I'm doing for my podcast and business. So basically, the podcast was called Creatively by Estelle, but I transitioned it to Creatively Performing Arts because that's the name of my business, and I wanted it to be streamlined and like easy to find and the same all around, and really just enforce the fact that the podcast is a part of the business and is a part of really this online community that I have a passion for building, where people are really starting to pursue their creative gifts in singing, acting, and dancing. So yeah. And to that end, I just really felt the title creatively, like the idea of living creatively, living fully as you are, as a creative, all out without holding back, was something that really spoke to me. And so that's where the creatively came from. And then I was like, well, I'm specifically focusing on the performing arts. And so, yeah, you want to live creatively, but especially in the fields of performing arts, like in the genres, the performing arts niche, right? So that's how that all came together. So this brand, this podcast, this business is really here to inspire you to live creatively by exploring the performing arts, by starting to sing, act, and dance again, by starting to perform again, and to know that your creative gifts are so valuable and so worth exploring. So I'm here for you in every way. That being said, Are you ready to do that? Are you ready to rediscover your love for the performing arts and to really start building confidence in yourself as a performer, specifically as a singer? You might be an actor, you might be a dancer, but chances are, if you're listening to this, if you're in this audience, you probably love to do all three. You're probably interested in doing all three, maybe even becoming a triple threat, right? And so maybe you want to start with singing. If you want to really start building confidence in your singing voice again, I know what it feels like to wish you could sing your favorite song or a song that you love, right, in front of people, but you stay frozen in your seat, right, because of fear that it won't be good enough or you won't sound good enough. And I know how it feels to wish you could audition for a show, but then you have no idea where to start working on your song, and then you stay stuck in self-doubt, right? You might even think back to when you sang in choir and did theater when you were younger and used to love it, and you wish you could get back to that. And you're just kind of afraid. Maybe you don't have the time or the confidence to get started, right? So I want you to think, just imagine for a second, if you had your own singing plan, if you had your own practice plan and routine for yourself as a singer, complete with voice warm-ups, a guide to working on your favorite songs, and support to really help you build confidence in your voice and your performance style. Like, how would that feel, right? That's why I started beginner voice coaching, right? I want to teach you simple ways to start singing and performing with confidence so that you'll be able to really warm up your voice, work through your favorite songs, and discover practical ways to boldly start using your craft, your gift for singing and for performing, right? You are going to walk away with more assurance in your vocal abilities. You'll have a singing plan, a very simple plan with your warm-ups, with a plan for how to work through the songs, and ultimately a renewed passion for creativity and for performing. So if you're ready for this, if you want a personalized singing plan and someone to walk alongside you as you begin or restart your vocal journey, then let's go, okay? Come sing with me. I have just four, okay? Because I got four more left. 4 1-hour virtual coaching spots that are 50% off. Just 4 spots left. Okay, so they're $25, literally half off. Like, it's the best deal that you will get, okay? So don't miss out on this incredible deal. Sign up right now before it's too late. I really want to start singing with you, and I'm so excited to really focus on this model that I'm using of building confidence for singers and performers. I can't wait to see you shine. So if you are ready, you can DM me on Instagram at EstelleFBerry. The link is in the show notes. You can also email me at EstelleFBerry@gmail.com to let me know that you're interested. Everything is in the show notes because I know my last name is a little unique to spell. But yeah, the world needs your voice, okay? The world needs your creative gifts. Don't waste another minute. Stop hiding behind fear and lack of time. Your talents are worth being put out there, okay? So let's start singing and performing with confidence again, okay? All right, so I'm so excited to do this. I hope that you will go ahead and sign up. DM me if you're interested at all, and we can talk a little bit more if you want to about it before you sign up. But yeah, I'd love to sing with you. So that being said, let's get into talking about some of the lessons that I learned from a recent performance that I did as Hermia in A Midsummer Night's Dream. So the first lesson I learned 5 total that I'm going to talk about today. The first one was that fear can come out of nowhere, okay? Like, I thought I was prepared because I was so excited to be a part of this. It was my first paid acting gig. It was with this new company that I had never worked with before, but had met the artistic director. I actually talked about this in a previous episode. We had like a very beautiful, unexpected meeting, and so I really liked her and I was so excited to be a part of it. And then like the first rehearsal came and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And so just expect that, like, you're gonna feel afraid when you're doing something kind of new, or you're a part of a new company, you're going in a different direction than you've been before, and the show is all about getting started, using your creative gifts in the performing arts, starting to sing, dance, and act. So just be aware that when you're starting, that fear can come, and it will come out of nowhere, especially if you are, it's a different challenge for you, and that's okay. You are capable of pushing past that fear And I believe that if you trust God and if you know God as a friend and you have a relationship with God through Jesus, the Bible says that God gave us a spirit that isn't of fear or timidity, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So, if you remember that, like hold on to that fact that you have been given a spirit that is of power, of love, and a sound mind. You are able to overcome that fear. And maybe another way to think about it is to think about, instead of thinking about how afraid you are and how afraid you're feeling, thinking about how excited you are, and turning that fear into excitement, because your body reacts in similar ways when you're feeling very excited and when you're feeling very afraid. So instead, think about it as like, wow, I'm getting to do this. This is a great opportunity. And then going from there. So, but that's a lesson that I learned. Fear can really come out of nowhere, even when you're doing something that you love and are super excited about. But remember that you have been given a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind as a child of God. And remember to turn to God for that strength. And then also think about turning that fear into excitement. So that's one thing that I learned, okay? The second lesson that I learned was to see this as a learning experience. So whatever the situation is that you're facing, whatever the new experience that you're trying out is, see it as a learning experience instead of, like, for me, I realized that I was kind of seeing it as like, I have, like, this is my first gig, like kind of like putting a lot of pressure on it, on my first paid gig. So I was putting kind of some pressure on it in my mind without even realizing it. And then I was just like, if I see this as a learning experience, that I get to be around, these different actors, that I can learn from all these different creatives, this amazing team that I can learn from, right? It made it more fun, and I got to really, it helped me kind of relax a little bit to just see this as a learning experience as opposed to like something that I have to kind of prove myself in, if that makes sense. And it also, like, I realized, it just, it showed me that I have to be willing to, really think about, for shows in the future, that I really want to make sure that I'm thinking about what is the show about, what is the director's vision for it, kind of like digging more deeply into what the vision of the show is ahead of time. And that way I can really assess, what are the things that I like about this, what are the things I don't like about this. And even when I'm in it, like I realized, again, it was a learning experience. So I realized that I have to be willing to like stand up for myself. I have to be willing to say like, these are my values. This is something that I can maybe talk to the director about, talk to this other actor about. And everyone on this team was really friendly and really like easy to talk to, but just like it made me realize like definitely being able to advocate for myself as an actor, as a performer, and say like, oh, like, this would be a racist undertone here, or this, I'm not super comfortable with this here, let's change it. And I learned to do that from the other actors, from my scene partners, from the people around me, because they were really standing up for themselves and saying what they thought. And I was like, oh, like I can do that. I should be doing that. And so, yeah, it was just a learning experience. And I realized that from the beginning and realized that more and more going on. So, yeah, the second thing I learned was to see this as a learning experience. The third lesson I learned was to be open to new friendships. This was a great lesson to learn. Of course, I'm always open to new friendships, but, I just, like, I don't know, it didn't occur to me as much that, of course, like, I would be meeting all these amazing new people, and a lot of them already knew each other because it's a tight-knit company, but they were so welcoming to me and so friendly, and just, like, getting to hang out with them, even outside of rehearsals and the shows, was so much fun. And that was definitely one of the highlights of doing the show, was just building new friendships, building new connections, getting to know different people around my city that I had literally never met before. So it was so much fun, and I'm so grateful. Like, that was definitely one of the best parts. So third lesson, be open to new friendships whenever you're doing a new experience like this. If you are going to start acting or start going to a dance class, be open to who's dancing next to me, you never know. It could be a new friend. And so, yeah, just be open. The fourth lesson I learned was to know that growth is the outcome. this kind of connects to the second lesson of seeing this as a learning experience. But this experience really showed me that like you're going to be exposed to your own insecurities and fears from the get-go. Whenever you're starting something new, especially in the performing arts, you will come face to face with your own fears, your own deep insecurities, and you're gonna eventually you will find ways to move past them or to realize that maybe you need to dig deeper into them afterwards. I know I realize that like there are some things that I need to work on. I want to grow in this specific area. And that's one of the incredible things that I got out of doing the show, was that I grew and I realized places where I still want to grow, if that makes sense. So like I said, I played Hermia in A Midsummer Night's Dream. I hadn't done Shakespeare in years. So like I'd actually never been like a full Shakespeare play. So it was, that in itself is a challenge, right? And I grew in that, and then I realized like I could definitely grow as an actor when it comes to working with Shakespeare. And just in general, like as an actor, I grew too in really understanding how important it is to listen to your scene partner, and just like the practice of acting. I didn't go to school for acting, so like just doing it and learning from the people around me, was that in itself helped me grow, I think, in just a short time. So yeah, and I realized that I did have that fear of like, oh, I didn't go to school for acting. Like, am I going to be good enough? Like, what if no one believes me? That is not what you want to be thinking when you're acting. You don't want to be saying like, oh, what if no one believes that I am the character that I am? Instead, you have to really dig deep and believe it yourself. And our director would always mention, finding your beats as an actor. And I would go back over my lines, over my little monologues, and think about, okay, like, what would I do here? What is my character thinking here? Really digging into the character. And I realized that, like, that's what you have to do as an actor. But instead of kind of sitting in the fear of, like, oh, no one's going to believe me, like, instead, I realized I have to, in order to grow, like I have to just dig deeper and believe that I am the character and really know my character inside and out. And by the end of the show, I felt like I really knew my character. And so that growth was absolutely there. Even though I was afraid and I wasn't sure 100% of the time, I just kept moving forward and growth happened. And it was part of it was just in the doing, in the believing, in the people around me believing in me and learning from them. But at the end of the day, the outcome was growth. It wasn't perfection. It wasn't, proving myself. And that is the fourth lesson that I learned, is that growth is the outcome of any new experience. When you're starting something, when you're starting a creative experience, you're starting to use your talents, growth is the outcome. You will feel the fear. Going back to lesson number one. Yeah, okay, that was Milan. Anyway, guys, this is how my musical theater brain works, okay? This is how my musical mind works. Anyway, but yes, so what was I talking about? Oh, yes. So going back to the first lesson, right? Yes, you're going to encounter fear. You're going to feel the fear, but move past it and you will grow through this experience, okay? So that was number 4. And the fifth and final lesson that I learned from this amazing experience as a performer, my first paid acting job, was to choose gratitude. At the end of the day, like, you want to be creative. You want to tell stories. God gave you these desires. He gave you these talents. That's amazing. So the fact that you're getting to do it in this new experience, yes, you might be afraid, you might experience insecurity, but you're getting to do the thing that you want to do, right? You're getting to be creative, and that's amazing. So at the end of the day, choosing gratitude, I just realized that when I was feeling grateful and focusing on the gratitude, I wasn't focusing on my fears. I was just grateful to be doing it. And that helped build my confidence. That helped me feel like I was really present in the moment and not overthinking everything, when I was performing. So choose gratitude. That's the last, and that's the final lesson, and one of my favorites that I learned, was just to be grateful that you get to do what you love in whatever the experience is. So I hope this inspires you. These few lessons that I had, I encountered fear, I encountered imposter syndrome, not feeling like, oh my gosh, am I a real actor? Like, this is my first time. All these people are pros. Like, what's gonna happen? I was all very self-focused on like me and my fears and my whatever limitations. But when I started to turn outward and found these lessons that were around me, right, I was then able to learn from the people around me. I was then able to really experience the joy of creativity, the joy of theater, and have fun with it. And yes, I learned lessons. There were ups and downs, and nothing was it wasn't perfect, but I grew at the end of it. And so, yeah, let me just run through the lessons that I learned to encourage you as you're starting this week. If you're starting a new thing this week, oh my gosh, amazing! Let me know. Come to the Facebook group, okay? The Performing Arts Community on Facebook. The link is in the show notes. Come let me know, because I would love to cheer you on and encourage you in these lessons, right? So the first lesson was that fear can come out of nowhere, but you can absolutely push through by the grace of God. And you can also think about turning that fear into excitement. The second lesson was to see this as a learning experience. You're not trying to prove yourself, you are learning, and that's amazing. Third lesson, be open to new friendships, right? The arts are all about community and collaboration, so be open to who you might meet and the relationships that you'll build. The fourth lesson is to know that growth is the outcome, not perfection, not proving yourself, but growing and being who you are called to be as a creative, as an artist, and using your gifts, right? And the fifth lesson that I learned is that choose gratitude. Choose gratitude always. You're getting to be creative. That's amazing. Whether you're starting small this week, you're just, even if you're just doing one tiny thing, that's amazing, right? So be so grateful that you're getting to do it. I'm so grateful that I got to have this experience. I got to use my gifts, and I hope that you choose gratitude as you go throughout this week. Okay, let me know what you thought of this episode. I hope this inspired you. I hope it encouraged you. I hope you go through this week knowing that there are lessons to be learned. There's so much growth to experience as you use your creative gifts, as you start singing, acting, and dancing again. So yeah, I hope this encourages you. If it does, or if you want to feel more supported, feel more encouraged, come to the Facebook group. Join it. You're going to find people who are encouraging you. You're going to find me there. If you want to talk to me a little bit more about any particular thing, come to the Facebook group. I would love to chat with you and let me know what you thought of the episode. And again, like I mentioned earlier, come on down if you're ready to get started singing, specifically to build yourself as a singer, build yourself vocally. I would love to sing with you. Again, I have 4 spots. I'm doing a 50% off deal just for 4 more spots. You can go to the link in the show notes, or you can visit creativelybyestelle.com/sing. Actually, you can go to the link in the show notes, or you can email me or DM me on Instagram at EstelleAvBerry to let me know, and I'll just send you all the information right there. So everything is in the show notes. Please come on down. Let's start singing together, start growing, and really intentionally using your voice as a performer today, right? Before the end of the year, don't miss out. This is an amazing deal, and I would love to sing with you. All right. Thank you so much for being here and for listening. I really appreciate you so much for taking the time, and I hope that you know that. So thank you. I hope you have an amazing week. Keep creating, keep singing, dancing, acting, performing, and I will talk to you next week. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Creatively by Estelle. I hope you feel encouraged by today's episode as you start this week. And if you have a moment, I would love for you to just share this episode with a friend if you liked it, or with someone who you think this could be encouraging to. It would really help the show. Also, if you really loved this episode, if you wouldn't mind going to Apple Podcasts and leaving a review and rating this show, it would really help us reach more people through this show and grow our Creatively community. All right, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next week.